Hey there, everybody. Welcome back to Starting Out Solitary. Blind Rob here, subbing in once again. This is week 258, and we're discussing mediums and anything we want to talk about it. So, before I jump into this topic, I just want to say I'm sorry that I'm late again with this video. Keep in mind, I'm just a sub-host, and, I just, jump in and add my own two thoughts when I'm needed to cover for someone else, and I don't mind doing that. That's what I signed up for in the first place. But I honestly don't know. Okay, so I realized I've been doing this for a couple weeks straight now. I don't know how long I'll be continuing doing that. I don't know how long I'll be needed to do this, but I do apologize for how late my videos have been the past couple weeks. Life has just been crazy. I've just been super busy, and I guess, better late than never, I suppose. So I'm going to try to get things, straightened out so that the next time that I have to come in and cover in for someone, I can have this uploaded on the day that it's supposed to be done. Which this time, just like it was last week, was supposed to be Wednesday. But you're probably not going to be seeing this until Friday. Excuse me. Like I said, sorry. But anyway, enough yammering for me. Let's jump into this topic right away. Mediums. This is kind of another hard topic for me. So, I guess off the top of my head, I believe in mediums. I don't have a problem with the concept of mediums in of themselves. I'm not a big fan of the term. And I guess more so I'm not really a big fan of the culture surrounding it. Mainly how, in a lot of ways, how it's portrayed, on camera, on TV, in movies. But more so than that, how, a lot of people in either the New Age community or the Witchy community or the Pagan community all interconnected on one level or another. Just like you will see 1,000 shades of Pagans and Witches, you will probably see 1,000 shades of mediums. But I have seen a few, and I have come across, I have met, and I've interacted with a number of them in my time, where it's all about the show for them. Like, some of them are authentic about it, some of them are not, and it's kind of hard to tell at first. It's just like with anything else. The more you interact with, the more you gain experience with, running into, facing, experiencing different sort of spiritual concepts and experiences in general. You kind of get a grasp and a feeling for what's on the level and what's not, regardless of what it is, and regardless of how much knowledge you may have about the subject in of itself. But regardless of the authenticity of some of the ones I've come across, I've noticed that there's a very strong similarities about how it's this big show. Like, it's got to be done a certain way. It's got to be melodramatic. It's got to be overly dramatized. And I get that. Ritual work is very dramatized in some ways. It can be very fun, but it can sometimes get a little tedious. But I don't know. But yeah, I do believe in mediums. I pretty much believe that anything that has to do with some kind of ability, talent, gift, knack, whatever you want to call it, where person or people are interfacing with the other world, with with the divine on one level or another. And it doesn't have to be mediumship. It could be the second sight. It could be whatever. It could be empathy. It could be whatever thing. I think as a species, as a people, we all have the potential for being able to do all this. Do I believe that everyone can be a medium? No. I believe that everyone has the innate potential inside of them. Some people, some individuals have more potential than others. Some groups of people have more potential than others, or at least more potentials of certain styles than others. I know for a fact that, a touch of the second sight runs through my family. So, I have firsthand experience about different people, different families having, different gifts that run true in blood and spirit. But I also think that regardless of innate talent, innate skill, or innate ability, there is also enough of it that you can learn. Like, if you can interact with, like, some experiences with the divine, with the spiritual, with the other world, can knock loose some wiring, for lack of a better term, open up some channels, widen other channels that might already be there but are not being used properly, and allow you, through training, through time, through experimentation, to be able to do these things, to what have you. I think, and honestly, I know I'm pretty sure I've mentioned this in a previous video, I'm not a fan of the term psychic, or the whole psychic culture, for lack of a better term. And a large part of that is due to how it's presented, but another large part of that is due to my worldview, where I see the parts of the mind, the parts that govern emotion, thought, reason, memory, as parts of a more complex soul matrix. So I tend to see things as spiritual abilities. And I know the conversation could get tangled up in translation when you have multiple different people using different terms. But just how I see it. I personally, I think it's a service. I mean, if people are going to provide it, it's just like anything else. It's a service. People need to be, honorable about it. They need to use their best judgment and what have you. Have I ever contracted or commissioned the services of a medium? Not that I'm aware of. Spirit workers, yes. Diviners, yes. Seers, yes. As far as I'm aware of, no. And that's mostly because I have enough of my own spiritual abilities, skills, innate talents, though I would never be comfortable enough to call myself a medium, where I can interact with, occasionally, with the spirits of my own family and a couple of friends, for that matter, without the aid of others. But I can possibly think of a couple of possibilities where it could happen in the future. I could require the services if there was something going on and I needed an external objective opinion. And of course, that's part of the problem, but that's not just a medium thing. That's a thing. That is a potential problem. That is a potential issue that you're going to have to deal with, regardless if it's mediums, if it's diviners, whether or not they can be objective. And a large part that deals with their training, with their outlook, with their beliefs, with their ethics. What are their ethics? One of the things that I do as a diviner, among other things, is I lay it out there, very plain to see, very transparent of what I believe, what I know I can do, what I cannot do, what I think I might be able to do if asked, what are my ethics, what have you. And I think any person should do this, regardless if they're a diviner or medium or magician or what have you. Because for one thing, that helps people not be taken advantage of. Because, see, there are so many people out there doing this that it's hard, especially at first, to tell who's authentic, who's not. Some people have true gifts. Some people are learning the trade. They might not have innate abilities, but they can pick up enough of it along the way that they can do a good enough a job. And some people are just in it for the money. And then again, I've known of people in the past who had the gifts but were only in it for the money regardless. So it's not exclusively a talentless thing. Personally, and this is the advice that I would give anyone, regardless if it was a medium or a typical diviner, is take whatever you receive with a grain of salt. Compare it to what you know deep down in your bones, in the hearth of your heart. And I say that because recently and this was with a diviner, not a general diviner, not a medium. The person I was dealing with was unethical in a lot of ways, and one of the things that she did was disregard all the information that I knew. Not only that I knew in my bones, in my heart of hearts, but I've had confirmed from multiple different people through a time period of over a year, different people who have no connections with one another, who do not know one another, basically saying the exact same thing, or if not the exact same thing, pretty close, almost to the T. And this person basically discarded everything and basically tried to tell me that no, it was basically garbage. What I knew, what I thought I knew, or what she tried to make me think that I thought I knew, and instead overlay it with her own thoughts, her own beliefs. And that's something that you got to do regardless of who you treat with, who you work with, to try to find insight, to find answers, to find knowledge, to find comfort and closure, especially in the way of mediums, is what do you know? What do you know about the beings or the people that you're trying to contact, you're trying to interact with? And I think a large part of it is, and it's something that we all who have gifts, who have trades of a spiritual nature, of a mystical nature, that we provide to others, that we have to be very reflective. A lot of shadow work is involved, a lot of self-reflection, a lot of back and forth must be done. Did I do that right? Am I being as objective as humanly possible? Because let's face it, we are all going to be biased no matter what. But regardless of our biases, we can do our best to strip it down as much as possible, to be as objective as we can within the bounds of our biases, in order to give a better reading, to give a better service to people. And that takes work. That takes a lot of self-discipline, self-awareness, conscious thought, a lot of tears and pain, especially when, oh man, I said something wrong. I could have said something that, I thought was going on, but it might not necessarily be the case, or I didn't quite translate it properly. And the person that I told that to, they're going to take it the wrong way or what have you. And then, of course, there's always the fear of losing oneself to arrogance if one does not take the time with discipline, with self-reflection, analyzation. It's one thing to be confident in your ability, because when you're confident in your abilities and what you can do, you do a better job than if you are doubting yourself and doubting what you can do. But at the same time, if you allow yourself to completely be overwhelmed, consumed by your own hype, by your own awesomeness, if it suddenly goes from, I can do this, I got it, no problem, it is what it is, I'm telling you how I'm receiving it from the heart, to, well, this is what I'm getting and I'm right because I know I'm right regardless of anything, and there's no way that I could be wrong, or I'm the greatest, I'm the best, I'm this, I'm that. That's when problems happen. That's when people get hurt. So I guess to kind of come back full circle to the beginning of this conversation, I believe in mediums very powerfully, very strongly. They are one kind of practitioner, one kind of spiritual craftsperson, trying to think of the word, spiritual artisan, who provides much needed, superb, hopefully, services to our communities, just like different other people with different skills, with different talents. But just like anything else, you got to be cautious about it. you gotta have, on one hand, you gotta have an open mind. On the other hand, you have to, I won't go so far as to be skeptical, but if that's what you think you need to do, then fair enough. But to also properly analyze, balance, what is the possible, what could be with what you know, with what you believe, with what you've had concrete answers, what rings true. Allow your gut and your heart and your intuition, as well as your rationale, to guide you through the murky, twisted, rough terrain that is interacting with and working with people who provide such services. Anyway, I hope my rambly thoughts helped. Till next time, a breach bless.